Hello, guys. Welcome back to my channel. So if you guys want to see more video, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos. I also have a lot of exciting news to share with you guys, but I'm gonna save that for my next video. Thank you guys so much for your support and for being patient. You're standing on the edge of the Giza Plateau, the modern bustle of Cairo, a distant, muted drone behind you, almost swallowed by the vast silence of the desert. The air here feels different, drier, imbued with a palpable sense of history that clings to your skin like the fine, golden dust that perpetually dances in the sunlight. Your eyes, almost instinctively, are drawn forward across the rocky, undulating landscape to where they stand, the Great Pyramids of Giza. They don't just sit there. They asterisk there, an immutable presence, defiant against the relentless march of time, a monumental shrug to the fleeting nature of human existence. For millennia, these structures have been the ultimate question mark, an architectural riddle whispered across deserts and oceans, pondered by everyone from ancient Greek historians to modern-day TikTok theorists. You feel a familiar, almost childish or bubbling up inside you, the kind that makes your breath catch in your throat. It's a feeling you rarely get from digital screens or glossy travel brochures. This is real, tangible, colossal, and you're right there, feeling the almost imperceptible tremor of the ground beneath your feet, a vibration that might just be your own heartbeat echoing the pulse of history. The very name, Giza, rolls off the tongue like a secret incantation. It's not just a location, it's a concept, a symbol of human ambition pushed to its absolute, mind-bending limit. You squint against the glare, the sheer brightness of the sun bouncing off the ancient limestone, and try to process what you're seeing. It's not just one pyramid, mind you, but a complex, a sprawling necropolis designed for pharaohs and their closest kin to journey into the afterlife, with all the pomp and circumstance a civilization could muster. You start to walk, drawn forward as if by an invisible current. The ground is uneven, a mix of compacted sand, small stones, and the occasional discarded water bottle, because even ancient wonders aren't immune to modern litterbugs, sadly. Each step brings you closer, and the details begin to resolve themselves. You notice the subtle shift in color of the stone, from a pale, almost bleached yellow to a deeper, richer ochre where shadows cling. You realize the blocks aren't uniform. Some are massive, gargantuan, others merely large, all fitted together with a precision that defies the rudimentary tools of the time. This isn't just a pile of rocks. It's a testament to engineering, a giant, geometric prayer to eternity. First, your gaze is inevitably drawn to the largest, the most famous, the Great Pyramid of Khufu, also known as the Pyramid of Cheops, because the Greeks just loved to rename things, didn't they? It looms over everything, an artificial mountain that dwarfs every living thing around it. Imagine, for a moment, being an ancient Egyptian living in a mud brick hut and seeing this beast rise from the desert floor. You'd probably think it was built by gods, or at least by people who had a very intense conversation with them about construction techniques. This pyramid, you know, was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. 3,800 years. Think about that. From its completion around 2560 BC until the Lincoln Cathedral spire was finished in 1311 AD, nothing touched it. That's like building something today that won't be surpassed until the year 5800. Pretty wild, right? You try to grasp that scale, that enduring legacy. It's built from an estimated 2.3 million blocks of stone, each weighing, on average, about 2.5 tons. Some of the granite blocks used in the internal chambers weigh up to 80 tons. 80 tons. That's like moving a small house or a really big elephant without forklifts or cranes. Historians still argue whether they used ramps, levers, or maybe just an insane amount of human grit and determination fueled by ancient energy drinks. Perhaps. Some fringe theories even suggest alien assistance, but honestly, the sheer human ingenuity behind it is far more impressive, don't you think? You circle around, feeling the sheer volume of the structure. The original casing stones, made of highly polished white limestone, are long gone, scavenged over centuries to build parts of Cairo. But if you look closely, especially near the top of Khufu's pyramid, you can still see remnants of them. Imagine the pyramids gleaming, reflecting the sun like colossal jewels, visible for miles across the Nile Valley. It must have been an absolutely blinding spectacle, a beacon of power and divinity. Speaking of Khufu, he's Khufu's son, and his pyramid stands proudly next to his father's, often appearing taller due to its higher elevation on the plateau and the surviving cap of casing stones. From certain angles, it seems to eclipse Khufu's, a clever visual trick that speaks volumes about ancient Egyptian architectural psychology. They wanted to impress, to assert dominance even in death. You can almost hear Khufu whispering, "Yeah, Dad's was big, but mine looks bigger from here." And then, a little further off, the smallest of the trio, the Pyramid of Menkaure, Khufu's grandson. It's significantly smaller, but no less impressive in its construction. Originally cased in red granite, you imagine the generational ambition, each pharaoh trying to outdo or at least match their predecessors, like a monumental game of keeping up with the Joneses, but with millions of tons of stone. But it's not just the pyramids themselves that command your attention. This entire plateau is a testament to an organized, highly religious society. You look around, noticing the remains of smaller pyramids, satellite pyramids for queens, perhaps, and rows of mastobas, flat-topped rectangular tombs for nobles and high officials. It's like a meticulously planned city for the dead, a miniature version of the world they left behind, complete with temples, causeways, and a grand, albeit sand-swept, entrance. As you wander, you stumble upon a particularly large block of stone, perhaps one that never made it into the main structure, and you instinctively reach out to touch it. The stone is warm, almost radiating the sun's stored heat, but beneath the surface, you feel a coolness that speaks of its immense age, a deep, silent coldness that has absorbed millennia of sunrises and sunsets. It's rough, uneven to the touch, and you can almost feel the fingerprints of the ancient quarry workers, their sweat, their strain, their unwavering belief in their pharaoh's divinity. It makes you feel incredibly small, a fleeting blip in the grand timeline. Your smartwatch suddenly feels terribly fragile and temporary. You wonder about the people who built these giants. Were they slaves, as Hollywood often depicts? Modern scholarship mostly debunks that idea, suggesting they were skilled laborers, farmers working during the Nile's flood season, perhaps, or even highly paid artisans housed in purpose-built villages nearby. Recent archaeological digs have uncovered bakeries, breweries, and even medical facilities for these workers. Imagine the camaraderie, the shared purpose, the sheer muscle and engineering genius required to haul, cut, and place these colossal blocks. It wasn't just brute force, it was applied physics, geometry, astronomy, and an immense understanding of logistics. They had to feed, house, and organize tens of thousands of people. It makes modern construction projects look like a backyard shed assembly. And what about the sheer determination? Think about the motivation. It wasn't just about building a tomb. It was about ensuring the pharaohs' eternal journey, safeguarding their spirit, and, by extension, guaranteeing the stability and prosperity of Egypt itself. The pharaoh was seen as a living god, the intermediary between humanity and the divine. Their safe passage to the afterlife was literally the salvation of the entire civilization. No pressure, right? Imagine having that kind of job description. Your success at work determines the fate of the entire known world. Good luck. You turn your attention back to the Great Pyramid of Khufu, drawn by its enigmatic presence. You know there are passages within, dark and mysterious. The entrance, not the original, which was cleverly hidden, but one created by the Caliph al-Mun in the 9th century, is a small, uninviting slit in the immense void. You can almost feel the shift in air pressure as you consider stepping inside. It promises a descent into coolness, into utter darkness, into the very heart of the ancient world. The passage slopes downwards, then upwards, leading to various chambers. There's the so-called Queen's Chamber, which, ironically, probably never housed a queen. Its purpose still a subject of scholarly debate. Was it a storage room for sacred artifacts, a symbolic antechamber? Nobody knows for sure. Then, higher up, accessed by the breathtaking Grand Gallery, a marvel in itself, a long, ascending corridor with a corbelled ceiling, lies the king's chamber. This is where Khufu himself, or at least his sarcophagus, was meant to rest. You picture the Grand Gallery, a narrow, soaring space, the walls smooth and cool to the touch. The air must be thick with the dust of millennia, the silence almost deafening, broken only by the occasional shuffling of other visitors, or perhaps, if you listen very closely, the whisper of ancient spirits, long departed. Imagine the echoes of the funerary procession, the priests chanting, the heavy thud of sandals on stone as they carried the pharaoh's earthly remains to their final resting place. Or maybe, just maybe, you hear the distant rumbling of a tour bus, reminding you that even in the most profound silence, the 21st century is never ** far away. The king's chamber itself is surprisingly stark, unadorned, made entirely of massive, polished red granite blocks. The sarcophagus, empty now, is still there, a massive, unyielding stone box, too large to have been brought in through the narrow passages, which means, you realize with a jolt, it must have been put in place * during * construction. They built the pyramid asterisk around asterisk it. That's a level of planning that makes your head spin. Imagine trying to coordinate that with a team of thousands. No instant messaging, no Google Docs, just raw human power and a vision. Historians still argue about so much here. Why is the king's chamber so plain? Was it originally decorated and the decorations simply didn't survive? Or was the power and majesty conveyed by the sheer scale of the granite blocks themselves, needing no further embellishment? And where, oh where, is Khufu's mummy? It's never been found. Was it looted in antiquity? Was it hidden in a secret chamber yet to be discovered? Or did the pharaoh have a very elaborate plan B for his eternal slumber? The mysteries are as layered as the stones themselves. You step back, pulling yourself out of the pyramid's cool embrace, feeling the sun's warmth on your face once more. The vastness of the plateau stretches out before you, dotted with countless other secrets waiting to be unearthed. Every grain of sand here feels imbued with history, every stone a silent witness to 4.5 millennia of human endeavor, belief, and the unending pursuit of immortality. You feel a strange mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration, the kind that only comes from genuinely connecting with something truly ancient and impossibly grand. It's an experience that settles deep within your bones, a reminder of the incredible things humanity is capable of, even without Wi-Fi. You pull yourself back from the cool embrace of the pyramid's interior, stepping out into the blinding, familiar sunshine, the vastness of the plateau stretching out before you like an ancient, sun-drenched canvas. Your eyes, adjusting to the sudden glare, scan the horizon, taking in the grand sweep of it all. The sense of scale reasserts itself, that monumental shrug of defiance against time. But there's something else, something equally iconic, equally enigmatic, lurking in the shadows of the colossal pyramids, a silent guardian, a creature of myth made tangible, the Great Sphinx of Giza. You pivot, drawn instinctively towards it. It sits there, immense and watchful, carved directly from the bedrock of the plateau. Its lion's body stretched out in perpetual repose, its human head gazing eastward, forever facing the rising sun. It's an undeniable presence, a stone sentinel that has seen more sunrises than any living thing on Earth. You've seen countless pictures, of course, probably even a few memes with a wonky photoshopped party hat. But nothing prepares you for its sheer size and the profound stillness it radiates. It's not just a statue, it feels like a living, breathing entity that has merely chosen to take a very long nap. Its name, Sphinx, actually comes from the Greeks, who probably saw it and thought, oh, look, a winged lion monster like ours. The ancient Egyptians, being less prone to dramatic renamings, likely called it something like Horus in the horizon or image of Atom, associating it with the sun god. But Sphinx stuck, and honestly, it's got a nice ring to it, especially when you're trying to impress someone at a cocktail party. Yes, I communed with the Sphinx, you know. As you approach, the ground shifts from rocky desert floor to more packed sand, and the air hums with a different kind of energy. You can see the wear and tear of millennia on its surface. The limestone, softer than the granite used in the pyramid chambers, has been relentlessly battered by wind-blown sand, by torrential, albeit infrequent, reigns, and by the sheer passage of time. The details of its face, once finely carved, are now softened, almost blurred, like an old photograph fading in the sun. But still, the power is there, undeniable. The eyes, though eroded, seem to hold an ancient wisdom, a silent judgment on all who pass before it. You can almost feel it assessing your life choices, wondering if you brought enough sunscreen. Historically, the Sphinx is believed to have been carved during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre, the guy who built the second largest pyramid, and whose face is widely thought to be the model for the Sphinx's visage. So, in essence, it's a colossal, highly stylized portrait of a pharaoh, combining the strength of a lion with the intelligence of a human. It was likely meant to guard Khafre's pyramid complex, a formidable protector ensuring the pharaoh's safe passage into the afterlife. Imagine having a security guard like that for your eternal slumber. Pretty top tier, even by today's standards. No uninvited guests are getting past that asterisk. You walk along the path that skirts its northern flank, noting the massive paws stretching out before it, seemingly ready to spring into action. If only its stone joints weren't quite so stiff from 4,500 years of inactivity. Between its paws, you can spot the remains of a small open-air temple and the famous dream stele of Thutmose IV. This stele recounts how, as a young prince, Thutmose fell asleep in the shadow of the Sphinx, which was buried up to its neck in sand at the time, and had a dream. In the dream, the Sphinx promised him the throne of Egypt if he would clear the sand away. He did, and he became pharaoh. It's a classic do me a solid, and I'll make you king story, and honestly, who wouldn't take that deal? Especially from a giant half-lion, half-human deity. Of course, the Sphinx has its own share of mysteries and scholarly debates, just like the pyramids. The most famous one, its missing nose. Popular legend often blames Napoleon's troops, who supposedly shot it off with cannon fire. But that's pure fabrication, a historical inaccuracy that probably got its start in some early travel guide. Drawings of the Sphinx from before Napoleon's expedition already show it knows less. The likely culprit? A Sufi Muslim iconoclast named Muhammad Sa'im al-Dar in the 14th century, who apparently tried to deface it because he viewed it as a pagan idol. Or perhaps, just as likely, the erosion of time and the poor quality of the limestone, combined with earlier attempts at vandalism. Whatever the reason, it certainly adds to its mystique. You wonder if it's ever regretted that decision, especially when trying to sniff out a good falafel stand. Then there's the beard. If you look closely at some ancient drawings, or even at the Sphinx's chin, you can see where a ceremonial pharaonic beard would have been attached. Fragments of this beard are actually in the British Museum. So, it was once a bearded, majestic creature, sans nose. Imagine the conversations. Hey, nice beard. What happened to your nose, though? You also remember the water erosion theory, a more fringe, but captivating idea. Geologist Robert Schoch argued that the erosion patterns on the Sphinx and its enclosure walls were caused by prolonged rainfall, not just wind and sand. Egypt today is pretty dry, but if Schoch is right, that would imply the Sphinx dates back to a much wetter period, perhaps 7,000 to 10,000 BC, making it far older than the pyramids. This would completely upend our understanding of ancient Egyptian chronology. Mainstream Egyptologists largely dismiss this, pointing to other evidence that ties the Sphinx firmly to Khafu's reign. But it is a tantalizing what-if that makes you squint a little harder at the worn stone, searching for answers. The desert wind whispers secrets, but it's rarely definitive. You pause, taking a moment to simply be asterisk in its presence. The sheer enormity of the Sphinx, its ancient, inscrutable gaze, makes you feel utterly insignificant, yet profoundly connected to a lineage of humanity that dared to dream and build on this epic scale. You can almost hear the faint click of cameras from tourists, trying to get that perfect kissing the Sphinx or holding the Sphinx in your hand photo. Their modern antics are stark contrast to the timeless silence of the monument itself. It's a delightful absurdity, this blend of deep history and everyday tourist silliness. Moving away from the Sphinx, you realize there is still so much more to this complex than just the main pyramids and their stony guardian. The Giza Plateau is a sprawling ancient city of the dead, designed for an eternity. You look around, and your eyes catch sight of what appear to be long, narrow depressions in the bedrock, covered by massive stone slabs. These are the famous boat pits, and one of them, the one closest to Khufu's Great Pyramid, held one of the most remarkable archaeological finds of the 20th century, the intact funerary boat of Pharaoh Khufu himself. In 1954, after removing 41 enormous limestone slabs, archaeologists discovered a meticulously dismantled cedar wood boat, still perfectly preserved after over 4,500 years, neatly stacked into 1,000 to 124 pieces. Imagine being the archaeologist who lifted that first stone, peering into the dark, silent chamber, and realizing what lay within. Talk about a good day at the office. It's like finding a brand new, unassembled IKEA flat pack from the Bronze Age. Except it's a magnificent ship for a god king. This wasn't just any boat. It was Khufu's solar bark, a vessel intended to carry his soul. His asterisk bar asterisk and asterisk car asterisk. On its journey through the underworld and across the heavens with the sun god Ra, the Egyptians believed the pharaoh, being divine, would travel with the gods. And just like you need a car or a plane to get around, they needed a boat for the celestial waters. This wasn't a practical, Nile-faring boat. It was a sacred, symbolic vessel, a cosmic yacht for the afterlife. The reconstruction of Khufu's solar boat was a monumental task, taking over a decade. Imagine the patience, the painstaking effort to piece together thousands of fragile wooden components, fitting them together without a single nail or metal fastener, held by ropes and wooden pegs, just as the original builders had done. The result is breathtaking, a majestic, 43-meter-long, about 140 feet vessel with a slender hull, a pointed bow, and a high, graceful stern. It's an engineering marvel in itself, showcasing the incredible woodworking skills of the ancient Egyptians. You can see it in a purpose-built museum right next to the Great Pyramid, though it's slated to move to the new Grand Egyptian Museum soon. Just don't expect to take it for a spin on the Nile. It's strictly for celestial cruises. These boat pits, along with the causeways and valley temples, paint a picture of an intricate ritual landscape The pharaoh's body would have been brought from the Nile by boat to the Valley Temple, then carried along a covered causeway to the mortuary temple next to the pyramid, where final rituals would be performed before the body was interred. The journey wasn't just a physical one, it was a spiritual transformation, a passage from earthly life to divine eternity. Every element of the complex served this grand, sacred purpose. And what about the workers who built all this? We touched on them briefly, but it's worth dwelling on their daily lives. Recent excavations, particularly by Dr. Mark Lenner and his team, have uncovered extensive evidence of the lost city of the pyramid builders, just southeast of the Sphinx. This wasn't just a temporary encampment. It was a sophisticated, purpose-built settlement that housed thousands of skilled laborers, administrators, bakers, brewers, butchers, and even doctors. Think of it as ancient Egypt's version of a company town, complete with barracks, bakeries, kitchens, and a fully functioning infrastructure. Archaeologists have found evidence of massive bread-making facilities, capable of feeding tens of thousands of people a day. Imagine the smell of freshly baked bread wafting across the plateau, mingling with the dust and the sweat of thousands of laborers. They ate well, too, for their time: beef, fish, poultry, and beer. Lots of beer. It wasn't just sustenance. It was a source of calories and hydration, a liquid lunch for ancient heavy lifters. This was an incredibly well-organized, logistical masterpiece, managing a workforce comparable to a modern-day army. The fact that they had medical facilities, evidenced by healed bone fractures, suggests they cared for their workers, or at least recognized the economic value of keeping them healthy. This was an immense national project, a rallying point for the entire civilization, uniting people from different regions of Egypt under a common, divinely ordained goal. They weren't just building a tomb, they were building their national identity, their connection to the divine, and securing their collective future. You look down at your feet, imagining the thousands of footsteps that have trodden this very ground over millennia. The rough, uneven stones, perhaps once part of a path or a minor structure, bear witness to the grinding toil of those who built this place. The sun still beats down, relentless, but now you feel less like a tourist and more like a privileged witness, standing on the shoulders of giants. The Giza Plateau isn't just a collection of monuments. It's a fully integrated, meticulously planned complex. Surrounding the main pyramids are the remains of satellite pyramids for the queens, the mastaba fields for nobles and high officials, and smaller workmen's cemeteries for those who died during construction. It's a complete ecosystem of the dead, each individual's final resting place carefully considered within the grand design. You can even see the remnants of a massive enclosure wall that once surrounded the entire Giza necropolis, defining its sacred boundary, separating the realm of the living from the eternal abode of the divine pharaohs. Think of it as the ultimate gated community, but for the deceased, with VIP access only. The endurance of these structures is staggering. They've outlasted empires, religions, and countless civilizations. They've stood witness to the rise and fall of Rome, the birth of Islam, the Industrial Revolution, and the digital age. They are a constant, unchanging presence in a world of ceaseless flux. You touch another stone, smooth and warm from the sun, and the weight of that history presses in on you. a profound silence broken only by the distant hum of traffic from modern Cairo. It's a reminder that while technology advances at a dizzying pace, some things, some core human desires, to build, to believe, to leave a mark, to defy mortality, remain eternal. As the sun begins its slow descent, painting the western sky in hues of orange and purple, the shadows lengthen across the plateau, stretching the pyramids and the Sphinx into even more dramatic forms. The atmosphere shifts, becoming softer, more contemplative. The fierce glare of midday mellows, and a gentle breeze picks up, carrying with it the scent of dust and ancient stone. You imagine the workers, thousands of years ago, finishing their long day, their muscles aching, their faces caked with dust, watching the same sunset. They probably didn't have Wi-Fi either, but they had something else, a shared monumental purpose, a connection to the divine, and the satisfaction of building something truly, unequivocally magnificent. It's enough to make you feel a little sleepy, pondering the sheer weight of what they achieved, and how little, in the grand scheme of things, has really changed under the vast, silent sky. The last rays of sun cling to the western faces of the pyramids, painting them in hues of warm gold and deep ochre before finally dipping below the horizon. The light changes fast here, almost dramatically, as if a cosmic dimmer switch has been flicked. The air cools, a welcome relief after the day's relentless glare, and the breeze becomes a little more insistent, rustling the sand, carrying the distant murmur of the city that swells and recedes like the tide. You can still feel the residual heat radiating from the massive stones, a warmth stored over millennia, slowly bleeding into the evening air. It's a different Giza now, quieter, more introspective. The daytime throngs begin to thin, their chattering voices fading into the gathering dusk, leaving you with a profound sense of the place's ancient silence. And then, as true darkness descends, punctuated only by the rising gleam of the moon and the first hesitant stars, the pyramids take on a new, almost ghostly quality. They become silhouetted against the indigo sky, less like solid structures and more like impossibly tall shadows, holding court over the vast, empty desert. This is when the magic really happens, when your imagination can stretch its legs and run wild without the visual distractions of tour, groups, and selfie sticks. Speaking of magic, or at least modern attempts at it, soon enough, if you lingered, the famous sound and light show would begin. Colored lights would dance across the Sphinx and the pyramids. A booming narrator's voice would recount ancient tales, and dramatic music would swell across the plateau. It's a quintessential tourist experience, a bit cheesy, perhaps, but undeniably impressive in its scale. You'd find yourself sitting there perhaps on a plastic chair sipping a warm drink, watching these ancient wonders illuminated like colossal stage props. And part of you would feel a little thrill, even if another part yearned for the raw, unadorned mystery of the unlit night. But for now, in this moment of twilight quiet, you can almost hear the soft hum of history, the silent whispers of the wind passing over stones that have witnessed more history than any human ever could. You recall the lost city of the pyramid builders and the incredible logistics involved. Think about it, a workforce of tens of thousands, operating for decades. This wasn't just a spontaneous gathering. It was a highly organized, centrally planned operation. Imagine the sheer quantity of food needed every day: bread, beer, fish, meat. Archaeologists have found evidence of massive bakeries with hundreds of bread molds and huge industrial kitchens capable of preparing meals for an army. We're talking about ancient catering on a scale that would make a modern event planner weep with envy. And then there's the waste management. Thousands of people living, working, eating. The ancient Egyptians were probably pioneers in urban planning, if only by necessity. The workers themselves weren't just muscle. They were skilled craftsmen, quarrymen, stonecutters, masons, carpenters, potters, scribes, engineers, overseers. This was a complex, hierarchical society, all dedicated to a single, sacred goal. The overseers would have meticulously planned each step, from quarrying the stone kilometers away to transporting it by boat down the Nile during the flood season, to hauling it up a plateau and positioning it with incredible precision. They used simple tools, copper chisels, dolomite pounding stones, wooden levers, and ropes, but their understanding of applied mechanics and geometry was astounding. They could calculate angles, predict stress points, and level vast areas of bedrock with an accuracy that still baffles modern engineers. Forget your fancy CAD software. These guys were doing it all in their heads, or perhaps with ropes and wooden squares under the blazing sun. And what fueled them, beyond the practical necessities of food and shelter? Belief, an unshakable, profound belief in their pharaoh's divinity and the absolute necessity of ensuring his successful passage to the afterlife. The pharaoh wasn't just a king, he was a living god, the embodiment of Horus, the link between the human and divine realms. His safe journey was critical for the cosmic order, for the annual flooding of the Nile, for the very fertility and stability of Egypt. So, when they lifted those enormous blocks, when they dragged them up those long, hypothetical ramps, they weren't just doing a job. They were performing a sacred duty, contributing to the eternal well-being of their entire civilization. No pressure, right? Just the fate of the known world resting on whether you fit that granite block perfectly. This deep spiritual conviction is why the pyramids weren't just tombs. They were cosmic machines, designed to facilitate the pharaoh's transformation and ensure his eternal rule in the afterlife, from which he could continue to watch over Egypt. They were aligned with astronomical precision, with certain passages pointing towards specific stars, the North Star Thuban, at the time of their construction, which was crucial for their concept of eternal life, and perhaps Orion, linked to Osiris, the god of the afterlife. It wasn't just about burial, it was about resurrection, about the pharaoh merging with the sun god Ra, forever sailing the celestial river. So, the solar boat, the precise alignments, the sheer unadorned majesty of the king's chamber, it all points to a grand, spiritual purpose that transcends simple architecture. It's an ancient version of a space launch, but for a soul, not a rocket. The exact methods of construction, as we've noted, remain one of the biggest debates. Did they use massive straight ramps, extending for kilometers across the desert? Or spiraling ramps wrapping around the pyramid as it rose? Or perhaps internal ramps, winding upwards within the pyramid's core? Each theory has its proponents and its flaws. A straight ramp would require an astronomical amount of material for the ramp itself, possibly more than the pyramid. A spiraling external ramp would obscure the corners, making it difficult to maintain the precise angles. The internal ramp theory, proposed by French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin, is tantalizing, suggesting a hidden passage system used during construction, but definitive archaeological proof is elusive. Maybe they used a combination of methods, adapting as the structure grew, a kind of ancient agile project management. Or perhaps it was something so ingeniously simple that we, with our modern complexities, have simply overlooked it. It's the kind of question that keeps Egyptologists up at night, probably dreaming of giant ancient forklifts. After the grandeur of the Old Kingdom, the era of the great pyramid builders slowly faded. The power of the pharaohs decentralized, and later dynasties, while still revering the Giza complex, shifted their focus elsewhere. Subsequent pyramid building continued at sites like Abusir and Dosha, but never again on the scale of Giza. The resources, the political stability, and perhaps the sheer national will required for such colossal undertakings simply weren't consistently there. Over time, the Giza pyramids transitioned from active religious sites to revered, but increasingly silent, monuments. The casing stones were stripped away, not by invaders or conquerors, but by locals who found a convenient quarry of ready-cut, high-quality limestone to build medieval Cairo. Imagine walking up to a pyramid with a wheelbarrow, chipping off a chunk, and saying, "Yep, that'll do for my new kitchen counter." It's an almost unfathomable act of repurposing. As centuries turned into millennia, the Giza complex became a destination for curious travelers, pilgrims, and, inevitably, tomb raiders. The ancient Egyptians themselves were surprisingly good at robbing tombs. It was practically a national sport. Even during the New Kingdom, pharaohs had to contend with sophisticated gangs of looters. Later, Roman emperors, medieval caliphs, and early European explorers came to gawk, to marvel, and sometimes to desecrate. The Caliph Al-Man, in the 9th century, famously ordered his men to find a way into the Great Pyramid, believing it held untold treasures. They painstakingly chiseled a tunnel through the limestone, eventually stumbling upon the existing passages, but found no gold. Only the empty sarcophagus in the king's chamber. Talk about a disappointing treasure hunt after all that effort. It's probably the ancient equivalent of clicking on a clickbait link and finding nothing. The Age of Enlightenment brought a new kind of visitor: the scholars, the scientists, the early archaeologists. Napoleon's expedition to Egypt in the late 18th century, while a military failure, was a scientific triumph. He brought with him a corps of savants, engineers, artists, cartographers, who meticulously documented the monuments, drawing, measuring, and studying them with a rigor previously unseen. This laid the groundwork for modern Egyptology, transforming the study of ancient Egypt from mere curiosity into a systematic academic discipline. Suddenly, the pyramids weren't just giant piles of rock. They were historical documents waiting to be deciphered. The 19th and early 20th centuries saw intense archaeological activity. Pioneers like Flinders Petrie conducted incredibly precise surveys of the pyramids, revealing their stunning accuracy. Later, Giza became a training ground for a new generation of archaeologists. who instead of just digging for treasure began to excavate methodically, documenting every shard of pottery, every bone fragment, every small clue. That could shed light on the lives of the builders and the purpose of the structures. It was during this period that the remains of the workers' villages were first hinted at, and later painstakingly uncovered by teams like George Reisner's Harvard-Boston expedition, and, more recently, Mark Lehner's ongoing Giza Plateau mapping project, which gave us the lost city we talked about. It's a testament to patience, grit, and the unwavering belief that answers are hidden in the dirt. Despite all this research, the Giza Plateau holds many secrets yet. The possibility of undiscovered chambers within the pyramids themselves continues to tantalize. Modern scanning technologies, like myography using cosmic rays to detect voids, have hinted at anomalies within the Great Pyramid, sparking renewed excitement. Are there hidden burial chambers, storage rooms, passages to other parts of the complex? The allure of a secret chamber, untouched for millennia, remains a powerful draw, a real-life Indiana Jones fantasy. You can almost feel the anticipation in the air, a silent hum of questions waiting for answers. Today, the Giza Plateau is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a protected area, though not entirely immune to the pressures of modern life. Cairo, a sprawling metropolis of over 20 million people, constantly presses against its ancient boundaries. The iconic shot of the pyramids with Pizza Hut in the foreground is a stark, almost jarring, reminder of this coexistence. It is a delicate balance, preserving the ancient while accommodating the millions of tourists who flock here every year and managing the urban expansion that threatens to engulf it. The sheer volume of visitors means constant efforts in conservation, infrastructure, and crowd management. It's not always pretty, but it's vital. The Egyptian government has made monumental efforts to showcase its heritage, culminating in the upcoming opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum GEM, sometimes dubbed the GEM, a colossal state-of-the-art facility located just a couple of kilometers from the Giza pyramids. This museum is designed to be the crown jewel of Egyptian archaeology, housing an incredible collection of artifacts, many of which have never been seen by the public before, including the complete Tutankhamun collection. Imagine the entire contents of his tomb reunited in one place. It's a staggering thought. The idea is to create a holistic experience for visitors, allowing them to see the pyramids in their historical context, then delve into the incredible treasures housed within the museum. It is like getting to see the ancient Egyptian equivalent of all the behind-the-scenes footage and deleted scenes from history's greatest epic. As you stand there in the growing darkness, the wind picking up slightly, you feel a profound connection to the countless generations who have gazed upon these structures. They are not just monuments to dead kings, they are monuments to human aspiration, to the drive to conquer death, to communicate with the divine, and to leave an indelible mark on the landscape of eternity. They embody the incredible human capacity for organization, engineering, belief, and sheer, bloody-minded perseverance. They are a timeless reminder that even with simple tools, but with immense vision and collective will, humanity can achieve wonders that defy the passage of time. The stars above begin to truly sparkle now, a vast, indifferent tapestry against the blackness. The same stars, you realize that shone down on Khufu's workers, on the priests performing funerary rites, on the earliest looters, and on the first archaeologists. The Giza pyramids, silent and immense, reflect that starlight back, a constant, unchanging beacon across the millennia. They ask no questions, offer no easy answers, but simply asterisk are asterisk. And in their enduring presence, there's a strange comfort, a quiet lesson in perspective. Your phone battery might die, your Wi-Fi signal might drop, but these stones, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They'll just keep standing, absorbing the sun and the moon and the stars, waiting for the next curious soul to arrive, ready to whisper their ancient, inscrutable secrets into the desert wind. It's enough to make you feel very, very small, and yet, oddly, completely at peace under the vast, silent, star-dusted Egyptian sky. The wind, indeed, it carries a different kind of whisper now, cooler, more insistent. As the last vestiges of daylight vanish altogether, the plateau, which moments ago felt baked and vast, now feels even vaster, but also more intimate, shrouded in a velvet darkness that muffles the distant sounds of Cairo and sharpens the senses. You might shiver slightly, even if it's not truly cold. A purely sympathetic shiver from imagining the deep chill of millennia that has permeated these stones. The stars above are not just pinpricks of light. They are a glittering, impossible blanket, stretching from horizon to horizon, a celestial map that the ancient Egyptians knew intimately, aligning their colossal structures with cosmic precision. Imagine navigating by those stars, building by them, believing your very afterlife was charted among them. Your phone, clutched in your hand, feels like a silly, glowing rectangle against such profound, natural illumination. It's in this quiet, star-dusted moment that the Giza Plateau truly sheds its tourist trap facade and reveals its true nature. A grand necropolis, a city of the dead, meticulously planned and populated. We've talked about the big three, the headline acts, but they are merely the central pillars of a much larger, more intricate complex. As your eyes adjust to the low light, you can vaguely make out the lower, more regular shapes surrounding them, hundreds, possibly thousands, of mastabas. These flat-topped, rectangular tombs with sloping sides were the burial places for the pharaoh's family, high officials, priests, and nobility. Think of it as the ultimate ancient Egyptian VIP cemetery, neatly organized into streets and blocks, reflecting the societal hierarchy of the living world, each one a miniature, private pyramid of sorts, designed to protect the deceased and provide them with everything they needed for a comfortable eternity, from food offerings to personal possessions. It was less about making sure you got good Wi-Fi in the afterlife, and more about ensuring you had enough beer and servants. Priorities, right? These mastabas offer an incredible glimpse into the lives of the people who served the pharaohs. Their walls, often adorned with colorful reliefs and hieroglyphs, depict scenes of daily life: farming, fishing, hunting, feasting, performing religious rituals. Even mundane tasks, like preparing food, they show scribes recording grain, artisans crafting jewelry, musicians playing instruments. It's like stepping into an ancient Egyptian Instagram feed. but with way better art direction and significantly more dead people. These aren't just pretty pictures, they are a vital historical record, providing archaeologists with invaluable details about their society, their beliefs, their economy, and even their fashion sense. You might find a depiction of a nobleman tending his cattle, or a woman weaving linen, or a group of servants carrying offerings. It reminds you that these grand monuments weren't built in a vacuum. They were the product of an entire, vibrant civilization, teeming with ordinary people living their lives, even as they contributed to something extraordinary. And let's not forget the unseen infrastructure that facilitated the pharaoh's journey. Beneath the plateau, a labyrinth of shafts, tunnels, and underground chambers forms another layer of this ancient puzzle. Some of these are burial shafts for the mastabas, plunging tens of meters deep into the bedrock to reach hidden burial chambers. Others are mysterious, perhaps related to cultic practices or even serving as storage. The ground beneath your feet is not just solid earth. It's honeycombed with the echoes of ancient lives and deaths, a vast, silent network of eternal residences. It's the ultimate basement suite, just without the leaky pipes and questionable carpet. To fully grasp the how of Giza, you need to think about the stones themselves. The vast majority of the pyramid blocks are local limestone, quarried right here on the Giza Plateau, or from nearby Tura, on the east bank of the Nile. The Tura limestone was particularly prized for the casing stones because of its brilliant white color and fine grain. Imagine the massive open-pit quarries, swarming with thousands of workers, hammering away with dolerite balls, hard, round stones, to pound out channels in the rock. Then using wooden wedges soaked with water, the water would swell the wood, splitting the rock along natural fault lines. It was a slow, brutal process, requiring immense strength and endless patience. No dynamite, no laser cutters, just sheer human will against stubborn stone. But for the internal chambers, for the king's chamber in Khufu's pyramid, and for the sarcophagi, they used granite, and not just any granite, but tough, beautiful red granite from Aswan, some 800 kilometers, 500 miles south, way down the Nile. Think about that. They had to quarry these massive 80-ton blocks of granite, float them on barges down the river during the annual flood, unload them, and then haul them all the way up the Giza Plateau. That's a logistics challenge that would make modern shipping companies throw up their hands in despair. You want to move asterisk how many asterisk 80-ton rocks, asterisk how far asterisk, without trucks or cranes. Yeah, good luck with that, mate. Yet, they did it. With ropes, wooden sledges, and human muscle power, probably fueled by copious amounts of ancient Egyptian beer and shouts of encouragement, or perhaps exasperated groans. The methods of moving these colossal blocks are still debated, but the most widely accepted theories involve ramps. Not just one kind, perhaps, but a combination. For the lower levels of the pyramid, they might have used short, straight ramps to drag blocks up to the working level. As the pyramid grew taller, some theorize a large, single, straight ramp that extended for kilometers across the desert, gradually rising to the summit. But that ramp itself would have been a monumental construction, arguably as big as the pyramid itself. Others suggest a spiraling ramp that wrapped around the pyramid, getting narrower as it ascended. The problem with this is that it would obscure the corners, making it impossible to check the incredibly precise angles. And then there's Jean-Pierre Houdin's intriguing internal ramp theory. He suggests that after building the initial base of the pyramid and a certain height, the Egyptians then built a ramp that spiraled inside. The pyramid hidden within its core with openings at the corners to allow for pivoting the blocks. As the pyramid rose, the workers would haul the blocks up this internal ramp. It's a clever idea, elegantly solving some of the external ramp problems and some subtle anomalies detected by various scanning methods might support it. But it remains unproven. Imagine building a secret internal highway system inside your ultimate monument. It's the ancient world's equivalent of a hidden level in a video game, just way more impressive and with much heavier blocks. Whatever the method, it required an astounding level of planning, coordination, and sheer ingenuity. They basically invented project management on an epic scale, centuries before anyone even thought of Gantt charts. This obsession with precision wasn't accidental. The pyramids were leveled with an accuracy that rivals modern construction. The base of the Great Pyramid, for instance, is leveled to within just a few centimeters over its entire 130-meter length. How did they achieve this? Possibly by building a system of water-filled trenches round the base, using the water level as a guide, or by meticulously surveying the bedrock and carving it down to a perfectly flat plane. Imagine thousands of workers painstakingly chipping away, making sure everything was just so, knowing that if they messed up, the entire cosmic order might collapse. No pressure. Beyond the three main stars, the Giza complex holds other lesser-known, but equally fascinating pyramids. To the east of Khufu's pyramid are three smaller pyramids, sometimes called the Queen's Pyramids. These were likely built for Khufu's mother, Hathor, and two of his principal wives. While much smaller, they still represent significant undertakings, reflecting the importance of the royal family in the afterlife. And near Menkaur's pyramid, you'll find three more smaller pyramids, though two of them are unfinished, hinting at perhaps a shorter reign or a shift in focus. It's a family affair, a massive funerary compound designed to house the entire royal court in perpetuity. The Giza Plateau also offers a fascinating glimpse into the evolutionary journey of pyramid building. While Giza represents the pinnacle, it wasn't the beginning. The earliest large stone structure in Egypt, the Step Pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara, built a couple of centuries earlier, was essentially a series of mastabas stacked on top of each other, like an ancient wedding cake. Then came the experimental pyramids at Dosha, a site just south of Giza. Snefru, Khufu's father, was a prolific pyramid builder, responsible for at least three major pyramids, and he arguably learned from his mistakes. Consider the bent pyramid at Dosha. It starts rising at a steep angle, around 50 degrees, but then about halfway up, the angle suddenly changes to a much shallower 43 degrees, giving it its distinctive bent appearance. Historians believe they realized the initial angle was too steep, causing structural instability, or perhaps they simply ran out of time and needed to finish it quickly. Imagine the ancient equivalent of an architectural oops moment. Pharaoh, about that pyramid, we might have to, pivot. It's a physical manifestation of ancient Egyptian problem solving, a monumental learning curve etched in stone. After that, Snefru built the Red Pyramid, the first true smooth-sided pyramid, and it stands as a testament to their refined engineering, a direct precursor to the perfection achieved at Giza. So, when you look at Khufu's masterpiece, you're not just seeing a single structure. You're seeing the culmination of centuries of experimentation, innovation, and monumental trial and error. As the moon climbs higher, casting long, stark shadows, the plateau takes on a truly otherworldly feel. It's easy to forget the noise and bustle of modern life and imagine yourself back in time. You can almost hear the rhythmic chanting of the workers, the creak of wooden sledges, the rasp of stone on stone. It was a place of immense activity, driven by fervent belief. But it wasn't always this quiet. After the Old Kingdom, the pyramids entered a different phase of their existence. They became objects of awe, pilgrimage, and sometimes unfortunate plunder. Over the millennia, the Giza pyramids attracted attention from all sorts of characters. Medieval Arab scholars, fascinated by their scale and mystery, developed elaborate theories about them, believing they contained ancient knowledge or hidden treasures. Some even thought they were granaries built by Joseph from the Bible. The Caliph al-Mun's frustrated tunneling into Khufu's pyramid is a famous example of this treasure hunt mentality, fueled by local legends. Imagine hearing a story about untold riches inside a giant stone mountain and thinking, right, let's just bash a hole in that. It speaks volumes about human curiosity and greed. Later, European travelers, often eccentric and adventurous, started making their way to Egypt. They'd sketch, write accounts, and sometimes chip off souvenirs. The pyramids became a symbol of the exotic East, appearing in countless paintings and poems. Early archaeologists, like Giovanni Battista Belzoni, a former circus strongman, used brute force and sheer determination to excavate temples and tombs, often with questionable methods by today's standards, but certainly making dramatic finds. These were the Wild West days of archaeology, before it became the meticulous science we know now. It was like a treasure hunt, but with dusty artifacts instead of gold doubloons. The real systematic study began in the 19th century, with figures like Sir Flinders Petrie, who brought scientific precision to the field. He meticulously measured the pyramids, noting their astonishing accuracy, effectively debunking many of the wild theories that had sprung up. His work, and that of subsequent generations of Egyptologists, transformed the pyramids from mysterious, unreadable monoliths into historical documents, each stone telling a story. They painstakingly mapped the plateau, excavated the tombs and workers' villages, and began to piece together the incredible story of this ancient civilization. It's the ultimate cold case file, meticulously investigated over centuries. Despite all this, Giza continues to reveal new secrets. Modern technology has become an invaluable tool. Ground-penetrating radar, magnetic surveys, and even modern tomography using cosmic rays to create images of the pyramid's interior are helping scientists peer through thousands of tons of stone without disturbing a single block. These non-invasive methods have recently detected tantalizing voids or anomalies within the Great Pyramid, sparking renewed speculation about undiscovered chambers or passages. Could there be a secret burial chamber, a hidden archive, or just a geological anomaly? The excitement among Egyptologists is palpable. It's like a perpetual cliffhanger in a really long-running historical drama. The pyramids, it seems, still have a few plot twists up their ancient sleeves. The challenges of preserving Giza today are immense. The sheer volume of tourism, while economically vital, takes its toll. Millions of footsteps compact the sand. The breadth of visitors changes the microclimate inside the pyramids, and human activity inevitably leaves its mark. Air pollution from Cairo, vehicle exhaust, and industrial development also contribute to the deterioration of the ancient stone. The Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities and various international organizations are constantly working on conservation efforts, from restoring eroded sections of the Sphinx to managing visitor flow and combating illegal excavations. It's a continuous balancing act between access and preservation, a fight against time and the very forces of modernity that allow us to visit them. The new Grand Egyptian Museum GEM, poised to be one of the largest archaeological museums in the world, is a critical part of Egypt's strategy for the future of its heritage. By relocating iconic artifacts, most notably the entire collection from Tutankhamun's tomb, it aims to provide a more comprehensive and controlled visitor experience. You'll be able to see the pyramids, then drive a few minutes to the GEM and witness the dazzling treasures that once resided in similar structures. Understanding the rituals and beliefs in a much richer context. It's a massive undertaking, a monument to modern preservation, designed to impress and educate future generations. Think of it as ancient Egypt's ultimate greatest hits album, but with real artifacts. As the night deepens and the desert wind sighs over the ancient stones, you might find yourself thinking about the profound human impulse to build, to leave a mark, to defy the relentless march of time. These pyramids are more than just tombs. They are declarations. Declarations of power, of faith, of an astonishing collective will. They remind us that even without the internet, without advanced machinery, humanity is capable of truly astonishing feats when united by a common purpose and an unshakable belief. They are the ultimate testament to the human spirit's capacity for ambition, ingenuity, and a touch of glorious, over-the-top theatricality. The silence out here on the plateau, broken only by the whispers of the wind and the distant hum of Cairo, settles around you like a heavy cloak. It's a silence that has absorbed millennia of human hopes and fears, triumphs and defeats. The pyramids, dark and brooding against the starry sky, seem to pulse with this accumulated history, silent sentinels guarding secrets that may never be fully revealed. They remind us that for all our technological advancements, for all our instant information, there are still fundamental mysteries that elude us, moments of ancient human endeavor that make us pause and wonder, humbling us with their scale and endurance. You might feel the fine, almost imperceptible grit of sand under your feet, even through your shoes. A constant reminder of the desert that birthed and preserved these wonders. And you'll probably find yourself drawing a deep breath, filling your lungs with air that has passed over these stones for thousands of years. It's a sensory experience that grounds you, connecting you to something vast and timeless. The pyramids don't just stand asterisk on asterisk the earth. They feel like they grew asterisk from asterisk it, natural extensions of the landscape, only shaped by the hands of an ancient, devoted people. They are a mirror reflecting our own aspiration and limitations. They challenge us to consider what asterisk we asterisk will leave behind. What monuments of our own age will endure for 4,500 years? Will it be a server farm? A data center? Probably not as visually striking or as resistant to the elements. They make you question what truly lasts. What truly matters beyond the fleeting headlines and the latest gadgets? The thought drifts, soft and comforting, into your mind. There's a reason these structures continue to captivate us. Millennia after their construction. It's not just their size or their age. It's the story they tell. A story of human innovation, collective purpose, and an unwavering belief in something beyond the visible world. It's a story whispered not through words, but through the very stone, through the sheer, improbable audacity of their existence. And as you stand there, under the infinite expanse of the Egyptian night, you are a part of that story, a fleeting moment in their grand, enduring narrative. The wind carries another whisper, a reminder that the desert never truly sleeps, and neither do the silent guardians who watch over it. You close your eyes, feeling the coolness of the night air, and let the sheer weight of it all settle in, a profound, lingering sense of wonder. The journey, you realize, is far from over. The journey, you realize, is far from over. Not when the universe itself feels like it has put on a special light show just for you. Each star a pinprick in the infinite canvas, reflecting off the impossibly dark forms of the pyramids. The air, crisp and cool now, carries the scent of ancient dust and a hint of something else. Something indefinable, the deep, mineral smell of stone that has stood for millennia. Your earlier shiver has settled into a comfortable coolness, the kind that invites quiet contemplation. This is when the plateau truly breathes, when the ghosts of its past feel closest, no longer obscured by the daytime bustle. It's in this profound quiet that your mind drifts beyond the pharaohs themselves, beyond the monumental scale of their final resting places. You remember the hundreds, the thousands, of other structures that dot this vast necropolis, the mastabas. These flat-topped, rectangular tombs, with their gently sloping sides, are the silent cities of the elite, the meticulously organized neighborhoods for the pharaoh's family, his high officials, priests, and noblemen. If the pyramids are the grand estates, these are the very respectable, if slightly less ostentatious, bungalows for the ancient Egyptian one-percenters, complete with their own eternal amenities. Each mastaba is a universe in miniature, a private residence for the deceased, designed to house their asterisk car asterisk, their life force or spirit double, and their asterisk bar asterisk, their personality or soul capable of leaving the tomb and returning, to keep these vital elements happy and healthy in the afterlife. The mastabas were outfitted with false doors for the asterisk car asterisk to pass through, offering chambers for daily food and drink offerings, and often intricate, colorful wall reliefs. These reliefs are like ancient Egypt's version of a highly curated family photo album, but also a detailed inventory of their earthly possessions and a prayer for eternal sustenance. You can almost picture them, These scenes meticulously carved and painted on the tomb walls, preserved by the dry desert air for thousands of years. Here, a nobleman oversees his vast fields, servants bringing in bountiful harvests of grain, farmers herding plump cattle. There, a fishing boat glides on the Nile, nets heavy with catch, while hippos lazily wallow in the background. Musicians play harps and flutes, dancers whirl, and banquets are laid out with enough food to feed a small army. Ducks, geese, joints of beef, baskets overflowing with figs and grapes. You might even see scenes of a craftsman at his bench, meticulously carving a wooden statue, or scribes diligently recording inventories. It's not just art, it's a statement. This is who I was. This is what I had. And by the power of these images, I shall have it all again, forever, in the afterlife. And yes, my ducks were organic. These are not just idealized images. They are vital historical documents. They provide unparalleled insights into ancient Egyptian daily life, their agricultural practices, their crafts, their social structure, and their deeply held beliefs about the afterlife. Imagine trying to piece together the economy of an entire civilization just from a few fragmented texts. Now imagine a visual encyclopedia etched in stone, depicting every aspect of production and consumption. It's like finding a detailed instruction manual for an entire civilization, complete with illustrations. Take, for example, the Tomb of Ti, a high-ranking official from the 5th dynasty, whose mastaba is just a short journey from the main pyramids. While not on the Giza plateau itself, it's at Saqqara, a bit further south, but illustrative of the type. It's a prime example of these detailed reliefs. Ti's tomb is famous for its lively and remarkably preserved scenes of cattle fording a river, sculptors working, and a bustling shipyard. You can practically hear the lowing of the cattle, the rhythmic thud of mallets on wood, and the chatter of the workers. It brings the ancient world to life in a way that dusty museum exhibits often can't. It reminds you that these people weren't just abstract pyramid builders. They were real, with jobs, families, and a profound appreciation for a well-stocked pantry in eternity. The meticulous preparation for this eternal existence extended, of course, to the body itself. Mummification was central to their belief system. It wasn't about preserving the body for a macabre display. It was about ensuring the **Ka** and **Ba** had a physical anchor to return to, a home for the soul. Without a body, the essence of the person would dissipate, and their journey into the afterlife would be jeopardized. So, they basically had to keep the lights on for eternity. The process of mummification, especially for royalty and the wealthy, was long and elaborate, spanning 70 days. First, the internal organs, except the heart, which was considered the seat of intelligence and emotion, were carefully removed and preserved in canopic jars, each lid shaped like the head of one of the 4 sons of Horus, tasked with protecting specific organs. Then, the body was packed and covered with natron, a natural salt, which would slowly dry out the tissues. Imagine the smell. Definitely not potpourri. After weeks of drying, the body would be cleaned, oiled, and meticulously wrapped in hundreds of meters of linen bandages. Amulets and charms were often placed between the layers to provide magical protection. Finally, The mummy was placed in nested coffins, often elaborately decorated, before being sealed in its sarcophagus. It was a sacred, scientific, and frankly, a bit gross endeavor, all for the sake of ensuring a good eternity. Think of it as the ultimate long-term care plan, prepaid and guaranteed. The entire enterprise of Giza, from the towering pyramids to the humblest mastaba, was fundamentally tied to the Nile. You recall standing on the plateau, feeling the dry, sandy air, but just a few kilometers to the east, the vibrant green ribbon of the Nile floodplain stretches out. The river was ancient Egypt's highway, its lifeblood, its very reason for being. Without the Nile's annual inundation, its fertile silt, and its reliable transport, the Giza project, indeed, the entire civilization, would have been impossible. Imagine the annual flood, the river swelling, creeping over its banks, transforming the arid landscape into a vast, shallow lake. This was the time when farmers, their fields submerged, would be drafted for corvée labor on the pharaohs' massive construction projects. It was a national service, a way of utilizing the workforce during a period when agricultural work was impossible. The river was also the ultimate superhighway for the construction materials. Those colossal granite blocks from Aswan, they were loaded onto massive barges and floated effortlessly down the Nile during the flood season. Think of it as the original Amazon Prime delivery service, but with 80-ton parcels and no drones. The Nile provided the path, the timing, and even the manpower. It was the original supply chain management marvel. The river also fed the people. The fertile banks provided the grain for bread, the pastures for cattle, and the waters themselves teemed with fish. Without this reliable food source, supporting a workforce of tens of thousands for decades would have been an unimaginable feat. The Nile wasn't just a geographical feature, it was a divine entity, Hapi, the god of the inundation, whose beneficence guaranteed Egypt's prosperity and, by extension, the pharaoh's ability to build monuments worthy of his divine status. It was the original everything everywhere all at once for ancient Egypt. As the quiet night wraps around you, you might reflect on some of the more unusual ideas that have emerged about the pyramids over the centuries. Beyond the scholarly debates and archaeological discoveries, there's a whole subculture of alternative theories. The alien assistance theory, for instance, which we briefly dismissed, or the idea of the pyramids as giant power generators, focusing cosmic energy, or my personal favorite, pyramid power. This was a bizarre craze in the 1970s and 80s, based on the notion that the pyramid shape itself possessed mystical energy. People would put razor blades under miniature pyramids to supposedly keep them sharp, or try to preserve food, or even improve their meditation. Imagine a pyramid-shaped hut designed to enhance your intellect. It sounds utterly ridiculous, of course, but it speaks to the enduring human fascination with the pyramids, a desire to find something more than just stone and engineering. They tap into something primal in our minds, a sense of wonder so profound that it can manifest in some truly off-the-wall ideas. No, your pyramid-shaped cheese probably won't stay fresh longer, but hey, it's a good conversation starter. It's a testament to the fact that humans love a good mystery, and if there isn't one, we'll invent one. But the real mystery the one that scholars continue to chip away at, is far more compelling than any pseudoscientific fad. What asterisk else asterisk is hidden here? The Giza Plateau, for all its excavations, still holds secrets. We've talked about the tantalizing voids detected by mutography. Within the Great Pyramid, anomalies that could indicate undiscovered chambers. Could there be a burial chamber for Khufu's actual mummy, still untouched? Or a repository of precious artifacts or ancient texts? The very idea makes your heart beat a little faster. Archaeological work here is slow, meticulous, and often frustrating. The sheer scale means that uncovering every single artifact, every single structure, would take centuries, and new finds are made surprisingly often. Just a few years ago, archaeologists discovered a 500-year-old ramp system at the alabaster quarry of Hatnub in the eastern desert, which sheds new light on how massive stone blocks might have been moved up steep inclines. It's a crucial piece of the puzzle, suggesting a system of ropes and wooden posts that effectively leaned blocks against a slope. This isn't Giza itself, but it's a direct insight into the same engineering principles that were almost certainly applied. Here, every new discovery, no matter how small, adds another brushstroke to the colossal painting of ancient Egypt. The ongoing Giza Plateau Mapping Project, led by Dr. Mark Lenner, continues to systematically survey and excavate the entire area. Using modern GIS geographic information systems and remote sensing technologies, they are literally mapping every bump and hollow, every buried wall and ancient path, creating a digital blueprint of this vast necropolis. This allows them to see the plateau not just as individual monuments, but as an integrated, intelligently designed ancient city for the dead. A complex tapestry of temples, tombs, administrative buildings, and living quarters. It is like putting on X-ray goggles and seeing the ghost of a bustling ancient metropolis beneath the silent sand. One of the particularly interesting areas of ongoing research is the Menkaure Valley Temple. This temple, where Menkaure's body would have been prepared and cult rituals performed, has yielded incredibly rich finds, including beautiful diorite statues of the pharaoh himself, often depicted with goddesses like Hathor. The excavation of this temple and its surroundings continues to provide a wealth of information about the cult of the dead and the role of the pharaoh in the divine hierarchy. It's a reminder that these pyramids weren't just about entombment. They were centers of ongoing religious activity, places where priests performed daily rituals for millennia, ensuring the pharaoh's eternal well-being and, by extension, Egypt's stability. The logistics of providing for this massive religious complex, year after year, century after century, are mind-boggling. Think of the thousands of offerings needed: bread, beer, meat, incense, for the countless mastabas and temples. This wasn't a one-time affair. It was a continuous, institutionalized system of provisioning that required a vast administrative bureaucracy to manage. It's like running the world's largest, most religiously significant catering business, but for an eternity. And what of the shift from pyramid building, the Old Kingdom, the age of the Giza pyramids, was a period of strong, centralized pharaonic power. But over time, that power began to fragment. Regional governors, nomarchs, gained more autonomy, and the resources and political will required for such colossal projects diminished. The climate might have played a role too. There's evidence of a severe drought towards the end of the Old Kingdom, which would have crippled the agricultural base and strained the central government. The sheer economic strain of building and maintaining these giant projects for an eternity might also have contributed. It's like constantly running your country on a massive construction budget without a clear ROI. So, while later pharaohs still built pyramids, they were smaller, often made of less durable materials, like mud brick with limestone casing, and never again achieved the scale and perfection of Giza. The golden age of colossal stone pyramid building was, relatively speaking, a brief but spectacular flicker in Egypt's long history. As the moon hangs high overhead, a brilliant disk illuminating the plateau with an ethereal glow, you can almost hear the soft rustle of the robes of ancient priests performing their rituals. The distant murmur of prayers carried on the desert wind. The very air feels thick with reverence and the weight of forgotten beliefs. The pyramids, now truly dark silhouettes against the starry expanse, seem to stand not just on the earth, but in time itself, reaching back to an age when gods walked among men and kings were considered divine. Your own modern thoughts, your worries about tomorrow's schedule or your phone battery seem utterly trivial in this ancient, cosmic stillness. The sheer human audacity of building something so immense, so enduring, to defy death itself, is a humbling thought. It reminds you of the incredible things humanity is capable of when united by a shared vision and a profound sense of purpose. They didn't have GPS or power tools, or even wheels in the sense we understand them for heavy transport. But they had something arguably more powerful: collective belief and an unwavering connection to their spiritual world. The Giza Plateau, under this blanket of starlight, is not just a collection of stone monuments. It is a living, breathing testament to an entire civilization's understanding of life, death, and eternity. Every shadow holds a story, every stone a whisper. It's a place that continues to inspire, to mystify, and to humble all who stand before it. The questions it poses are as old as time itself. What is our purpose? What legacy will we leave? And how do we reconcile our fleeting lives with the vast, unchanging cosmos? The night deepens further. The desert wind picks up, carrying fine dust that sparkles faintly in the moonlight. You feel a profound sense of peace settling over you, a quiet understanding that transcends mere facts and figures. It's the feeling of standing on sacred ground, ground that has absorbed the hopes and dreams of countless generations. The pyramids, unchanging and eternal, stand watch, silent guardians of a profound human story that is still, and always will be, unfolding. You draw a deep, slow breath, the cool night air filling your lungs, and let the vastness of it all wash over you. The journey, truly, has only just begun. It continues, whispering secrets in the desert night, inviting you to listen and to wonder. The journey, truly, has only just begun. It continues, whispering secrets in the desert night, inviting you to listen and to wonder. The cool night air wraps around you, a stark contrast to the sun's earlier assault. The very atmosphere feels different, heavier with the weight of 4.5 millennia. yet strangely peaceful. The distant, muted hum of Cairo traffic is now a mere breath, almost swallowed by the vast, silent expanse of the desert, where the only truly constant sound is the wind. Sifting endlessly through ancient sands, you find yourself gazing up, drawn by the almost indecent brilliance of the stars, each one a tiny, distant sun in the endless cosmic tapestry. The ancient Egyptians knew these stars intimately. They were their calendar, their compass, their map to eternity. To them, the night sky wasn't just a pretty view, it was the very blueprint of the cosmos, a place where their pharaohs would sail alongside the gods. And those colossal stone mountains, silhouetted against the starlit sky, they were anchors, points of departure, launching pads for the royal soul. Your own digital compass, blinking faintly on your phone, feels utterly quaint in comparison to the grand, celestial navigation that guided their grandest ambitions. Beyond the iconic trio of pyramids and the Sphinx, who seems to slumber with an almost human weariness in the deepening night, the Giza Plateau is, as we've explored, a sprawling necropolis. It's an entire city designed for the dead, a meticulously planned landscape reflecting the earthly hierarchy of ancient Egypt. Your eyes, now accustomed to the gloom, can pick out the lower, more regular shapes that surround the pyramids, the mastabas. These flat-topped, rectangular tombs with their gently sloping sides are everywhere. They are the eternal bungalows, the suburban neighborhoods for the pharaoh's inner circle, his family, high officials, priests, and nobility. Each one is a private microcosm, a self-contained unit built to ensure the comfort and continued existence of its occupant in the afterlife. Forget your smart home. These guys had smart tombs designed for millennia of effortless living. Or at least, effortless asterisk being asterisk. Within these mastabas, beneath the stone or mud brick superstructure, lay deep burial shafts, sometimes plunging dozens of meters into the bedrock. At the bottom of these shafts were the actual burial chambers, often sealed with massive stone plugs designed to deter the most determined looters. A strategy that, spoiler alert, rarely worked. But the real treasures of the mastabas, the historical ones, at least, weren't the gold or jewels, which were often plundered. They were the walls themselves, covered in vibrant, painstakingly carved and painted reliefs. These walls offered a visual feast, a window into a world long gone. Imagine walking into one of these, illuminated by a guide's flashlight, and seeing scenes of everyday life rendered with astonishing detail and vitality. Here, a fisherman casts his net, the water teeming with fish, while a mischievous hippopotamus surfaces nearby. Over there, a farmer guides his plow, oxen straining in the rich Nile mud, while scribes diligently record bushels of grain. You might see workshops bustling with artisans, goldsmiths hammering delicate jewelry, sculptors chiseling stone, carpenters crafting elegant furniture. Even the mundane acts of daily life, bread baking, beer brewing, clothes weaving, are depicted with a lively realism that makes the ancient Egyptians feel astonishingly relatable. Hey, look, they had bad hair days too. You might think, seeing a particularly disheveled servant. These aren't just pretty pictures. They are historical records of immense value. They show us what they ate, how they dressed, what tools they used, what their social structures were like, and what their beliefs were. They provide unparalleled insights into their agricultural cycles, their religious rituals, their administration, and even their sense of humor, sometimes subtle, sometimes a bit more slapstick, if you know where to look. It's like finding a fully illustrated, interactive Wikipedia page for an entire civilization, but without the annoying pop-up ads. These were people with lives, aspiration, and an unwavering belief that if they depicted it, they could have it forever in the next world. Talk about positive visualization. And speaking of ensuring eternal comfort, the process of mummification was absolutely central to this grand design. It wasn't some morbid obsession with death. It was a profound act of preservation, a necessary step to secure the individual's successful journey into the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that for the ***, the soul or personality, and the ***, the life force or spirit double to survive and thrive eternally, they needed a physical body to return to, a permanent home. Without it, the essence of the person would dissipate into nothingness, their cosmic adventure abruptly curtailed. So you can see why they invested so much time, effort, and, frankly, natron into the process. The process itself was a rigorous 70-day undertaking, shrouded in ritual and administered by specialized priests. First, the brain was removed, usually through the nose with a hook. An unpleasant thought, certainly, but evidence suggests they didn't value the brain much, believing the heart was the seat of intellect. Then, an incision was made in the left flank, and the internal organs, lungs, liver, stomach, intestines, were carefully extracted. These were then dried with natron and placed in pharaohs jars, each stoppered with the head of one of the 4 sons of Horus, who would magically protect the specific organs. The heart, as mentioned, was left in place, a vital GPS for the ***, and ***, to find their way home. Next came the main event. The body was packed and covered entirely with dry natron salt, a powerful desiccant. For about 40 days, the body would slowly dehydrate, shedding all its moisture, becoming a dried-out husk. Imagine the smell in the mummification workshop. Air fresheners had yet to be invented, which was probably a major oversight. After this drying period, the body was cleaned, ritually anointed with sacred oils and resins, and then meticulously wrapped in hundreds of meters of linen bandages. This was no quick process. It involved layer upon layer, with amulets and protective charms often placed between the layers to provide additional magical protection. Finally, the wrapped mummy was placed into nested coffins, often exquisitely painted and gilded. Before being sealed within its stone sarcophagus, it was a sophisticated, if somewhat gruesome, blend of science, religion, and textile art. It was basically the ancient equivalent of a highly exclusive, very long-term preservation service, guaranteed to keep you fresh for millennia. All of this grand endeavor, from the smallest mastaba to the colossal pyramids, was fundamentally dependent on the Nile. You stand there in the desert night, feeling the dryness in the air. But just a few kilometers to the east, the fertile green floodplain of the Nile River stretches out, a vibrant ribbon of life that still defines Egypt. The river was more than just a waterway. It was the lifeblood of the civilization, its highway, its food source, its very reason for being. Without the Nile's annual inundation, its fertile silt, and its dependable transport system, the Giza project, indeed, the entire civilization simply would not have existed. Imagine the annual flood, the *** season, when the river would swell and creep over its banks, transforming the arid landscape into a vast, shallow lake. This wasn't a disaster, it was a blessing. The floodwaters deposited rich, fertile silt, rejuvenating the land for the next agricultural cycle. And crucially for the pyramids, it was also the time when farmers, their fields submerged, would be drafted for corvée labor on the pharaohs' massive construction projects. It was a national service, a way of utilizing the workforce during a period when agricultural work was impossible. Think of it as ancient Egypt's version of a compulsory civic duty, except instead of jury duty, you got to haul 80-ton rocks. The river was also the ultimate superhighway for the construction materials. Those massive 80-ton blocks of red granite, destined for the king's chamber, were quarried nearly 800 kilometers south in Aswan. How did they get them to Giza? Loaded onto massive barges, they were floated effortlessly down the Nile during the annual flood. When the water levels were highest, it was the original bulk cargo delivery system, powered by current and sail. From the river's edge, then came the truly Herculean task of hauling them up the Giza plateau. This was done with wooden sledges pulled by hundreds of men over carefully prepared tracks, perhaps lubricated with water or milk, though the milk theory is probably more myth than reality, given the quantities needed. No trucks, no cranes, just raw human muscle, ropes, and a profound understanding of levers and inclined planes. It makes your last move, even with professional movers, look like a stroll in the park. The river also fed the people. The fertile banks, enriched by the annual floods, provided the grain for bread and beer, the pastures for cattle, and the waters themselves teemed with fish. Without this reliable and abundant food source, supporting a workforce of tens of thousands for decades would have been an unimaginable feat. The Nile wasn't just a geographical feature, it was a divine entity, Hapi, the god of the inundation, whose beneficence guaranteed Egypt's prosperity and, by extension, the pharaoh's ability to build monuments worthy of his divine status. It truly was everything everywhere all at once for ancient Egypt. As the quiet night wraps around you, you might reflect on some of the more unusual ideas that have emerged about the pyramids over the centuries. Beyond the scholarly debates and archaeological discoveries, there's a whole subculture of alternative theories, often fueled by genuine wonder, but sometimes by a spectacular lack of understanding of ancient capabilities. The alien assistance theory, for instance, which we briefly dismissed. It's hard to deny the pyramids look a bit perfect for ancient humans, leading some to conclude it must have been extraterrestrials with their superior technology, as if human ingenuity wasn't impressive enough, or the idea of the pyramids as giant power generators focusing cosmic energy, or even as astronomical observatories, though their primary function was clearly funerary. And then there's the delightful absurdity of pyramid power. This was a bizarre craze in the 1970s and 80s. based on the notion that the pyramid shape itself possessed mystical energy. People would put dull razor blades under miniature pyramids to supposedly keep them sharp, or try to preserve food, or even improve their meditation. Imagine a pyramid-shaped hat designed to enhance your intellect. It sounds utterly ridiculous, of course, but it speaks to the enduring human fascination with the pyramids. A desire to find something more than just stone and engineering. They tap into something primal in our minds, a sense of wonder so profound that it can manifest in some truly off-the-wall ideas. No, your pyramid-shaped cheese probably won't stay fresh longer, but hey, it's a good conversation starter at a party. It's a testament to the fact that humans love a good mystery, and if there isn't one, we'll happily invent one, sometimes with very little scientific basis. But the real mystery, the one that scholars continue to chip away at, is far more compelling than any pseudo-scientific fad. What else is hidden here? The Giza Plateau, for all its excavations, still holds secrets. We've talked about the tantalizing voids detected by myography. Within the Great Pyramid, anomalies that could indicate undiscovered chambers. Could there be a burial chamber for Khufu's actual mummy, still untouched? Or a repository of precious artifacts or ancient texts? The very idea makes your heart beat a little faster. It's the ultimate archaeological lottery ticket, the dream of every Egyptologist. Archaeological work here is slow, meticulous, and often frustrating. The sheer scale means that uncovering every single artifact, every single structure, would take centuries. And new finds are made surprisingly often, reminding us how much more there is to learn. Just a few years ago, archaeologists discovered a 4,500-year-old ramp system at the alabaster quarry of Hatnub in the eastern desert. This discovery, found in a quarry used to extract stone for statues and vessels, sheds new light on how massive stone blocks might have been moved up steep inclines. It's a crucial piece of the puzzle, suggesting a system of ropes and wooden posts that effectively leaned blocks against a slope, acting like a primitive pulley or winch system. This isn't Giza itself, but it's a direct insight into the same engineering principles that were almost certainly applied. Here, every new discovery, no matter how small, adds another brushstroke to the colossal painting of ancient Egypt, slowly revealing the full complexity of their construction methods. The ongoing Giza Plateau Mapping Project, led by Dr. Mark Lenner, continues to systematically survey and excavate the entire area. Using modern GIS geographic information systems and remote sensing technologies, they are literally mapping every bump and hollow, every buried wall and ancient path, creating a digital blueprint of this vast necropolis. This allows them to see the plateau not just as individual monuments, but as an integrated, intelligently designed ancient city for the dead, a complex tapestry of temples, tombs, administrative buildings, and living quarters. It is like putting on X-ray goggles and seeing the ghost of a bustling ancient metropolis beneath the silent sand, giving us a holistic understanding that was impossible for earlier, less technologically equipped explorers. One of the particularly interesting areas of ongoing research is the Menkaure Valley Temple. This temple, where Menkaure's body would have been prepared and cult rituals performed, has yielded incredibly rich finds, including beautiful diorite statues of the pharaoh himself, often depicted with goddesses like Hathor. The excavation of this temple and its surroundings continues to provide a wealth of information about the cult of the dead and the role of the pharaoh in the divine hierarchy. It's a reminder that these pyramids weren't just about entombment. They were centers of ongoing religious activity, places where priests performed daily rituals for millennia, ensuring the pharaoh's eternal well-being and, by extension, Egypt's stability. Imagine a religious service that has been going on for literally thousands of years, with daily offerings and chants. It puts your local Sunday service into perspective, doesn't it? The logistics of providing for this massive religious complex, year after year, century after century, are mind-boggling. Think of the thousands of offerings needed: bread, beer, meat, incense, for the countless mastabas and temples. This wasn't a one-time affair. It was a continuous, institutionalized system of provisioning that required a vast administrative bureaucracy to manage. It's like running the world's largest, most religiously significant catering business, but for an eternity, complete with supply chains, inventory management, and a dedicated workforce of priests. The Giza complex was not just a monument, it was a functioning spiritual enterprise, a machine for ensuring immortality. And what of the shift from pyramid building? The Old Kingdom, the age of the Giza pyramids, was a period of strong, centralized pharaonic power. But over time, that power began to fragment. Regional governors, nomarchs, gained more autonomy, slowly chipping away at the pharaoh's central authority and the resources available for colossal state projects. The climate might have played a role too. There's evidence of severe, prolonged droughts towards the end of the Old Kingdom, which would have crippled the agricultural base and strained the central government's ability to feed its people, let alone support massive construction. The sheer economic strain of building and maintaining these giant projects for an eternity might also have contributed. It's like constantly running your country on a massive construction budget, without a clear return on investment, eventually leading to economic fatigue. So, while later pharaohs still built pyramids, they were smaller, often made of less durable materials like mud brick with limestone casing, and never again achieved the scale, the precision, and the sheer audacity of Giza. The golden age of colossal stone pyramid building was, relatively speaking, a brief but spectacular flicker in Egypt's long history, a burst of divine ambition that, once satisfied, faded into smaller, more sustainable expressions. As the moon hangs high overhead, a brilliant disk illuminating the plateau with an ethereal glow, you can almost hear the soft rustle of the robes of ancient priests performing their rituals, the distant murmur of prayers carried on the desert wind. The very air feels thick with reverence and the weight of forgotten beliefs. The pyramids, now truly dark silhouettes against the starry expanse, seem to stand not just on the earth, but in time itself, reaching back to an age when gods walked among men and kings were considered divine. Your own modern thoughts, your worries about tomorrow's schedule or your phone battery seem utterly trivial in this ancient, cosmic stillness. The sheer human audacity of building something so immense, so enduring, to defy death itself, is a humbling thought. It reminds you of the incredible things humanity is capable of when united by a shared vision and a profound sense of purpose. They didn't have GPS or power tools, or even wheels in the sense we understand them for heavy transport. But they had something arguably more powerful: collective belief and an unwavering connection to their spiritual world. The Giza Plateau, under this blanket of starlight, is not just a collection of stone monuments. It is a living, breathing testament to an entire civilization's understanding of life, death, and eternity. Every shadow holds a story, every stone a whisper. It's a place that continues to inspire, to mystify, and to humble all who stand before it. The questions it poses are as old as time itself. What is our purpose? What legacy will we leave? And how do we reconcile our fleeting lives with the vast, unchanging cosmos? The night deepens further. The desert wind picks up, carrying fine dust that sparkles faintly in the moonlight. You feel a profound sense of peace settling over you, a quiet understanding that transcends mere facts and figures. It's the feeling of standing on sacred ground, ground that has absorbed their hopes and dreams of countless generations. The pyramids, unchanging and eternal, stand watch, silent guardians of a profound human story that is still, and always will be, unfolding. You draw a deep, slow breath, the cool night air filling your lungs, and let the vastness of it all wash over you. The journey, truly, has only just begun. It continues, whispering secrets in the desert night, inviting you to listen and to wonder, perhaps even to dream of colossal stones and ancient kings under the same eternal sky. And it is under that same eternal sky, ancient and vast, that our own journey across the sands of time must, for tonight, find its gentle conclusion. Though the pyramids stand as testaments to endless ambition, to lives lived and eternities planned, our own brief excursion into their shadow must now begin to softly fade. The wind, which has whispered secrets of ancient builders and forgotten pharaohs, now seems to carry a lullaby, a soft, soothing murmur that invites reflection, rather than further exploration. The stars, which have guided kings and caravans for millennia, now twinkle with a sleepy benevolence, their brilliance a gentle invitation to dream. The coolness of the desert night has fully settled, a comforting blanket after the day's fierce warmth, and the distant hum of Cairo has receded into an almost imperceptible background thrum, leaving you truly alone with the colossal, silent sentinels of stone. You stand there, a fleeting presence in a landscape that has endured for eons, and you feel the weight of countless generations who have stood on this very ground, gazing up at these same structures, from the earliest ancient Egyptian priests, performing solemn rituals in the shadow of the newly built pyramids, ensuring the pharaoh's safe passage, to the curious Roman tourists centuries later, perhaps scratching their names into the weathered stone because some things never changed, to the medieval Arab scholars who theorized about their purpose, to the tireless European archaeologists meticulously unearthing their secrets, and finally to your modern traveler from a world vastly different yet still connected by this shared human impulse to wonder. It is a profound, almost dizzying thought. This unbroken chain of curiosities spanning for and a half millennia. The sheer, unyielding permanence of these monuments is a stark contrast to the fleeting nature of human life, of empires, of even entire civilizations. Rome rose and fell, empires crumbled into dust, and mighty cities were swallowed by the sands. Yet the Giza pyramids endure, immutable and defiant. They are not just ancient relics, they are living, breathing testaments to a human desire to conquer time, to leave an indelible mark, to speak across the ages. And they do speak, not in words, but in their silent, monumental presence. In the precision of their angles, in the sheer, mind-boggling scale of their construction. They whisper of belief so profound it moved mountains, of organization so sophisticated it fed and housed tens of thousands, of an engineering prowess that still humbles us. Even with all our laser-guided tools and computer simulations, they are the ultimate hold-my-beer moment in history, performed with only ropes and wooden rollers. As the night deepens and the moon casts long, soft shadows across the plateau, you might feel a gentle pull, a sense that these structures are not merely inert stone, but reservoirs of ancient energy, of collective human will. They embody the paradox of the eternal and the ephemeral, built for immortal pharaohs. By mortal hands, they have far outlived the dynasties that commissioned them, becoming instead monuments to humanity itself. They are a constant, unwavering beacon in a world of ceaseless change, a reminder that some achievements transcend all fleeting fads and technological advances. Your smartphone might be obsolete in 5 years, but these pyramids? They're just getting started. The air around you seems to grow heavier, not with dust, but with accumulated stories, with the echoes of countless footsteps and the silent, patient wisdom of ages. You can almost feel the presence of those who toiled here, not as slaves, as we've discussed, but as skilled, devoted laborers, artists, and engineers, unified by a sacred purpose. Their sweat, their ingenuity, their shared belief, it is all imbued within these stones, a silent, powerful resonance that transcends the barriers of time and language. They were building not just tombs, but a path to eternity for their divine ruler, and in doing so, they secured the prosperity and very existence of their own civilization. Imagine the pride, the collective satisfaction of knowing you were part of such a monumental, sacred undertaking. It puts your last team project at work into perspective, doesn't it? And so, the vastness of the Giza Plateau, which felt so intimidating under the harsh glare of the midday sun, now feels comforting, protective, like a giant, ancient cradle under the vast, silent, star-dusted Egyptian sky. The questions it poses remain, lingering like the scent of dust on the wind. How exactly were the heaviest stones lifted? Are there still undiscovered chambers, perhaps holding the actual mummy of Khufu, or scrolls of ancient wisdom? The very uncertainty is part of its allure, feeding the human appetite for mystery, inspiring new generations of archaeologists and dreamers to seek answers. It's a puzzle that continues to unfold, slowly, patiently, revealing its secrets, one meticulously excavated layer at a time. The pyramids don't give up their stories easily. They require patience, reverence, and a willingness to listen to the whispers of the past. You draw a slow, deep breath, feeling the cool air fill your lungs, a gentle rhythm against the ancient stillness. The journey we've taken tonight, through time and across the sands, has brought you here, to this quiet, contemplative moment. The vibrant details of the day, the bustling crowds, the relentless sun, have all softened, blending into the muted canvas of the night. What remains is the essence, the monumental scale, the enduring mystery, and the profound connection to a human past that somehow feels more tangible, more real than the endless scroll of your social media feed. The pyramids, those ancient guardians, stand watch, their dark forms blending almost seamlessly with the night sky, as if they are part of the very cosmos they were built to honor. They embody a simple, yet profound truth, that even in a world of constant change, some core human aspiration to build, to believe, to endure, to connect with something larger than ourselves, remain timeless. They are the ultimate reminder that without Wi-Fi, without instant communication, without all our modern conveniences, humanity achieved something truly, utterly, breathtakingly magnificent. And that, perhaps, is the greatest secret Giza has to offer. The wind rustles softly, a final, gentle sigh across the ageless stone. The stars above begin to blur, losing their sharp edges as your eyelids grow heavy. The vastness of the plateau, the towering pyramids, the enigmatic Sphinx, they all begin to recede, not vanishing, but softening, fading into the comfortable darkness behind your closed eyes. The weight of history, so immense moments ago, now feels like a comforting presence. A lullaby woven from ancient dust and starlight, the whispers of pharaohs, of builders, of time itself, gently quiet, becoming a soft, rhythmic hum in the quiet corners of your mind.